Welcome back to our Modern Web Platform course at the Microsoft Virtual Academy. Myself, Michael Palermo, and Jeremy Foster here. We are going into a module that is simply called More APIs, or User Interface APIs. And the user interface piece, I feel so happy that I get to start this one off because this is all about eye candy and all the fun things that we can do visually on the web. But I do want to talk about the overview here. I mean, this is a lot. We have less than an hour to cover Canvas, WebGL, audio, video, MPEG-DASH, and pointer events.
With those technologies alone, you can create 2D games, 3D games, multimedia applications, all kinds of goodness right there. And we're going to cover it all in less than an hour.
Oh, yeah. In fact, any one of those, well, maybe except for audio and video, most of those could be on their own merit, their own courses. So we're going to try to do as much as we can within an hour. But remember, one of our objectives today is to get you inspired, to get you started, so that you can start to explore these things. And so keep that in mind with the spirit of you're not going to walk away with this as an expert in WebGL or an expert in Canvas or an expert in any of these things, but you could walk away and say, I think I understand its point, and now I know what to do to get started. And that's really the key. So let's go ahead and start off with Canvas. Canvas is a very important part of our strong visual representations that we want to see on our web pages. And they're really easy to start to develop with because it starts with a Canvas element. We've been talking today about elements on a page. This is an element that would go on the page. The one thing that makes this one interesting is that the Canvas element doesn't have a whole ton, or it doesn't really even have the concept of having children element to help support what's going to be shown on it visually, because Canvas is just about 100% JavaScript. So think of Canvas as a blank area that can show up on a page. You get to choose the dimensions of the canvas, and so you got this blank canvas. And when we think even artistically of a blank canvas, we start to think about what are we going to now artistically draw or do on this canvas. So think of it that way, that the element just represents just that. Here's our canvas. Everything else happens in the JavaScript. So one of the first things I want to do is highlight for you how there's support for the canvas at the IE Dev Center. And I have created or already have this link to the IE Dev Center, where you could see that some of the topics that are in this module are in this major section here. 2D Canvas is one of the things that is provided here. And if I go over also to this specific tab that I've created for Canvas, it starts to get into what are some of the demos, what are the samples and the tutorials. But I'm going to let you know a great way that you can learn it by just simply going over to Canvas Pad. Now, Canvas Pad is if you were to go to ietestdrive.com and then go over to the sitemap, you'll see that Canvas Pad shows up under the graphics area. So let's take a look at what we have over here. We have draw this black rectangle, and you can see it's providing the dimensions as far as where it's going to go on the canvas. So we're saying go over 50 and down 20. So if I zoom in here and just kind of look at all of this, what we're really saying here, and by the way, I know that Foster likes to use this pink color, but I'm just going to type R and change it to red. And I'm going to say right here,
showing off your zooming skills,
that this means that we have gone over to that, the 50 by the 20 that was represented, over here. I'm going to change that live. That's right now, and make this 100, or excuse me, 100. And then execute that, and you can see that the box moved over. What I love about Canvas Pad is it gives you the instant gratification to go and try things immediately. This could be stuff where you could just copy and paste and say, well, now that I've got the shape that I want, I'll just copy and paste this and put it over into my JavaScript file. But wait, there's more. Because not only do you have all of these rectangles, you can click on all sorts of things over here and start to see how you could draw logos on your canvas. What if I wanted to draw a smiley face on my canvas? It's showing us what you can do, how you would manipulate the canvas, and that's what this CTX represents, is that it's the context, the two-dimensional context to that canvas. We've got so many different types of demos here, and all of them are instantly editable by you, the developer/user. If you want to see how to do shadowing, or how about this, even images or video that can run right there on the canvas. One of the cool things you could do with Canvas is have a video running in the background, and then you can be drawing or doing some kind of overlay on top of it for some very cool effects. So this is a very great place for you to go to learn how to use Canvas. And I can tell you that it pretty much starts off with you just creating the canvas element and then grabbing its context and then doing all this fun stuff that we're seeing right here. Now I'm going to go back over and move on to, oh yeah, I do want to show the Code Show demo as well. My goodness. Code Show also has a cool demo, and it is, I'll type Canvas. This one allows us to see a bouncing ball, which is highly exciting, and this was written by a gentleman wearing an orange shirt today, and that's an orange ball. Isn't that interesting? And that tells us something about you, I guess. Now I'm going to scroll over here, and we're going to highlight right away for everybody out there that canvas image, or that canvas, has been identified here in the HTML source control with a width of 640, height of 480. That's about it. I mean, we give it an ID here. That's great. So I'll highlight that here with this blue rectangle. So we know that the canvas is called Canvas, and we know what its dimensions are. So what does that mean? Well, let's go over now to the JavaScript, which is over here. And let's see where you have that in here. I'm just trying to find where you access that canvas. Oh, you just did the explicit approach. Okay, so in code you could do a get element by ID. There's kind of a cheater's version. The cheater's version is if you know the ID, you could just use it. So that's what he did. So he said, let me create a variable called C. I'm going to make it equal not the canvas itself, but he's calling the get context off of canvas and saying, give me the two-dimensional. Now, what's interesting is the topic that's going to follow right after this discussion is going to show you there is something else that can go right there, and it's not 2D, and by the way, it's not 3D either. What will it be? You'll find out soon. But there is something else you can place there in order to get a different kind of context. But right now we're talking about 2D. And then once you have that, you start to do what's typically your draw function, which is what he's implemented down here in this draw method. So I've given you enough on Canvas to say, now you see how the structure of it starts out. Go over to Canvas Pad in order to find out all the cool things you can do or draw with it, and then you could just start copying and pasting. Case methodology. Case is C-A-S-E. And it's an acronym for copy always, steal everything. And if you can go over to IE Test Drive and you can take as much from there as you can, why reinvent the wheel if they have something there that already applies, or with just a little bit of tweaking, you can go ahead and make work for yourself. Now I'm going to move back over to our presentation, and let's see what our next topic is going to be. We're going to start talking about WebGL. WebGL is awesome. So let me explain the legal speak. With the emerging WebGL web standard, web developers can create new kinds of 2D and 3D experiences by programming the computer's graphics processing unit, otherwise known as GPU. Using WebGL, you program the GPU directly to quickly render complex 3D objects and scenes. Now that actually is a good explanation. It really is good. WebGL rocks. It allows you to do some ridiculous, intense, immersive visual situations that it's hard to explain. I can talk about it, but I'm probably going to have to prove it. But before I go and prove it, let's just take a look at those two links that I have here on the screen. It says WebGL at IE Dev Center, WebGL at webplatform.org. Now, I'm not going to go to the webplatform.org with you right now, but just know if you go to webplatform.org and you even search for WebGL, there's a ton of great information there on using WebGL. Having said that, I am going to take you to the IE Dev Center. And so what you're looking at right now is an example of a way that you can use WebGL. It gives you, now, I have a touch monitor, which is nice, because I can start to move this around. This is all WebGL. Oh. That's pretty sweet. And I can say, the flight to Everest. Okay, see the flight. Or I want to look at all the different panoramas, and I can circle around, and I can even click on one of these things that's not only interactive, but it's informative. It's going to give me some information that's really going to be helpful. So I want to go ahead and look at these vistas here, zoom in. This is all being done right now with WebGL. I think that's very cool. So I'm going to leave and go back. And so I'm back at this state. So that's one example. But I want to show you another one. I think this one is really going to be fun.
Oh boy.
You see, Mr. Foster's always in a good mood. And I just thought maybe it'd be interesting to see what it's like if he was not in a good mood. Now, it's really hard to get him upset, so I thought maybe I could just find out by, well, you know, really starting to change the way he looks. And let's get some of that going. You know, your face could be a little whiter. Maybe, yeah, that looks good.
My face could be whiter, huh?
This is all WebGL. This demo here, this photo warping with WebGL is available. By the way, let's capture this moment. I'm going to save this file. I'll go ahead and just save that and put
I'll go ahead and
downloads
set that as my avatar.
And then I'll at some point tweet that with the MS MVA hashtag so everyone can relish that moment of using WebGL to see Jeremy in a wholly different perspective. I think that was great. All right, so I had some fun with that. And you might be wondering, well, you didn't even show us how to do WebGL. What's the story? Well, I do want to show you a demo. I'm going to go over to CodeShow. Now, this demo in CodeShow is not in the store version right now, but it is at Codeplex. So I'm going to say WebGL over here, and there's the simple WebGL demo. Now, all it's doing is drawing a simple, diamond in the middle, because, of course, one of the goals today was how do you just get started? So check this out. Canvas is still used for WebGL. What? Why are they separate technologies? It's because Canvas is just a blank canvas, but it's really the context that you use with Canvas that really makes the difference. So if I say 2D, I'm using a specification for the 2D context for Canvas. But I can actually use a completely different context for Canvas and change the way it behaves. So let's go see where that's done in the code. I'm going to go over to the JavaScript and see, there it is right there. When I specify the context to be either WebGL or, very importantly, you'll see that here's this strange double pipeline again. I'm saying, hey, give me the context of the standard. Oh, that's not available? Let me try the experimental dash WebGL. So in most cases, I think you look at all the browsers out there, they support one or the other. So you'll want to do this little tip trick here to either get experimental or the WebGL context. Once you have that, what you have the ability to do is not just 2D, but 3D graphics. All the work that goes into drawing that simple triangle or that diamond is all here. This is not the easier one to use. This is not the plug and play. I would say Canvas 2D is easier to get started with than it would be, because you have to start getting into shaders with WebGL. And if that's something you're already familiar with, then that will be good. But if you're not, then you're going to have to do some study or research on it. And again, a great place to do that at would be at the webplatform.org or at the IE Dev Center, where you can read up on how to get started, understanding those concepts with the shaders and understanding the context that you're getting back and how to do the vertices. Once you understand how to do those things, then you can really get involved. There's been some cool things that have been done with it. Recently, Microsoft released on the web Assassin's Creed, a game, and it's all WebGL based. If you look at it, it's pretty cool looking, and it's like a immersive 3D game. So have fun with that. Go explore it. You can find it at the IE Dev Test Center. And with that, I'm now going to get into something else, and that is audio. Audio is important. Audio allows us to have a different way to engage with the end user. So what we mean by audio in the context of the modern web is an audio element. So we place it on the page, and if we want the audio to be something that is interactive with the end user, we can actually see something much like what you're seeing on the screen right now, and that is a representation of that audio element. And notice I put on there, no script, no add-on controls. You don't need JavaScript to produce what this image looks like, nor would you need CSS. This is a basic implementation of the audio element with no work. What does it mean? It means that you'll be able to add audio easily. For example, if you wanted someone to be able to play a sound bit, or let's say the reading. There's several websites that I've gone to where there's an article, and I actually do enjoy hearing the reading of the article by somebody that probably has some phenomenally awesome accent, and it just makes it a pleasure to read along as they're actually speaking. You could do that here easily now with the audio tag. Now, I'm going to show you a demo of this on CodeShow. So I'm going to cruise over to CodeShow and type audio here. And I'm going to show you the super simple HTML5 audio tag demo. Now, before I play it, I want to move over here and just let you see, when I scroll in here, that the audio tag has been added. What makes this work is when I'm specifying an audio file, and all I had to do here is just say, yes, show the controls, so someone could actually control it.
Can we just take a moment to celebrate the fact that we do not any longer have to do embed tags, embedded objects, in order to get audio into the browser?
How do you want to celebrate?
Well, I mean, I think we are, just by mentioning
silence.
It. Yeah.
That would be an odd thing to do in an audio section, but sure. All right. So I do want to celebrate by hearing audio to prove that we don't need the embed, and I'm going to click play. Now this audio is many minutes long. This is how we planned on concluding. But if I scroll across, you could see that I can control. I can even go to where this eagle lands thingy at around the 8:50 mark. So let's see if Jeremy's right, because he's the one who wrote this demo. Let's see.
There it is.
So exciting.
It's like, it felt like I was there.
It's awesome. So I'm playing that right here within the browser. Now, I could tell you that what's also very cool, what you could do with audio, is you can have multiple audio elements on the page at the same time. I experimented one time and had multiple audios playing that represented different musical instruments and turning them on and off. They were all playing concurrently. It was a kind of a cool way to do some musical experimentation or creating music type loops. Never even thought of it. It just kind of happened as I started playing along. I love the fact that we can just have 5 audio tags and I can pause or stop one and just listen to the others and just hear what would it sound like without drums, what would it sound like if I just had the piano and this. It was pretty cool. I really liked it. So I think that you might be able to find some very cool things that you could do with the audio tag, especially if you want to engage the user, and it makes sense to do so. Engage the user in a way so that they can fully appreciate the controls of it, or you can use the audio without showing the controls and just have audio play as well based on a trigger action of some kind, and then you could just programmatically say, I'm going to play this thing, and then use the audio control in order to do that. All right, let me go back over here and talk about our next topic. The Microsoft Virtual Academy highly appreciates this next topic. It's called video. Video is a means by which we are communicating so much more. That's how you're watching me right now, although we're going to see a little bit how that magic works a little later on. But I'm going to be talking right now just about the kind of video that you could just play, the kind of video that would be, okay, this is already, it's not streaming like what we're talking about here, but like a video file that's already been established. How could we get that to work on a page? It's going to be the same thing as audio. So let's take a look at the screen and see here that we have a video element. And the video element is a video player, although it's not an audio image, which is kind of funny. So I will just go right over to the video and code show. I'm going to tap over there and go to my video, HTML5 video. And I say my demo, but it's really Jeremy's. So here we have HTML5 video. This video, if I play it, is a looping butterfly. That's very
the butterfly itself is not looping.
It's not looping, but the video itself is.
I see.
Do you see any JavaScript anywhere? I see none.
None at all.
I don't see any. And what I see is that it's just this simple. All that was needed was to say, go ahead and play it right away, loop it, and add the controls. That was really easy to do. And wait, there's more. Because I said controls, I can full screen this bad boy. Or this butterfly. Might be a girl. Okay, so bring it back, and voila. We have instant gratification with video. Of course, one of the things I mentioned about video is that, I'm using MP4, and maybe there's certain environments or there's certain kind of movie types that you want to play, and maybe they won't be supported in one environment versus another. So just like video and audio also support fallback mechanisms. So we've been identifying that the video is going to play using the SRC attribute, but you could also implement it in a way where you're creating child source elements in either the audio or the video. And what you're doing is you're saying, try this one. Oh, that didn't work? Okay, try this one. Oh, that didn't work? Okay, try this one. So you can have all these tries, and then if none of them work, then the final thing that you put there, which would not be a source element, would be a, what do you want to show them if everything is failing? So it has that kind of fallback, or fail, or I can't think of the word I'm trying to think.
Like fallback.
It says, fallback, there you go. This is, okay, if nothing's working, what do you want to show them? Your browser does not support blah, 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 blah. And that's usually what a lot of people would say. So that is video in a nutshell. Now, I'm going to...
Now might be a good time to mention Player Framework. There is a library, a plugin for Windows apps called Player Framework, and it does all that fallback for you. You basically just drop a Player Framework element on the page, and it does all the work of saying, if this works, then use it. Otherwise, if this works, then use it. Otherwise, if this works, then use it. Otherwise, give them some sort of a message. So that's helpful. I used to have a Code Show demo. I think in the latest iteration of Code Show, something was broken, so I disabled it. So probably at some point, it'll come back online. And if you just go to codeshow.codeplex.com, you'll probably still see the code for Player Framework.
Cool. Well, we have made it all the way through Canvas, WebGL. We talked about audio and video. We're still kind of interested and fascinated with this video topic, but the next thing we're going to get into is going to be called MPEG-DASH. And I think Jeremy is very excited to share some information with you on this.
Yeah, who's got 2 thumbs and loves MPEG-DASH? This guy. MPEG-DASH I've been waiting for a really long time. Basically, here's what we've got. We've got a landscape where we know that we want to be able to stream video on the web. We know that we want to be able to do it over HTTP. That's what makes sense. We don't want to have client plugins and things like that. We want to do it over HTTP right in the browser. And so a lot of companies, a lot of really smart companies, have come up with various means for this. So you've got Adobe comes up with HTTP dynamic streaming, and Apple comes up with HLS, and Microsoft comes up with Smooth Stream, and all good solutions. But none of them are a standard, and so it's really hard for everybody to agree. Enter MPEG-DASH. It's an HTTP streaming protocol that is finally a standard. It's adopted by the W3C. Any browser can implement it. All the cool browsers have, and we're going to show you that today. It's not, though, just the means by which we're able to stream video. It's also the means by which we're able to encode video. Encrypt video, and the means by which we're able to add DRM to our video. So not only can you add video to your site, you can add video to your site and you can monetize it because you're able to authenticate and only give it to people who have paid for your service. So super exciting. And the easiest way to show this, well, first of all, before I show it, I want to show you that MPEG-DASH is really made up of these multiple standards. So there's one called MSE. That's the media source extensions. Michael's been showing you all about the video tag, and MSE is just extensions to that allow it to, as opposed to playing a local video file or a video file that's referenced as a resource in your site, to play something that's streaming, okay? The next is EME, the encrypted media extensions, and this is what allows you to encrypt the stream and add DRM to it. And then the web cryptography API is related, and that's just basically the ability to implement various methods of cryptography in your JavaScript. So those are the technologies that make it up. Now, the initiator of the MPEG-DASH standard is MPEG. It's the Motion Picture Expert Group, you know, the one that we've known and loved for a long time, that made MPEG-3 and MPEG-4 and so on. So it's realized as this set of W3C standards, and here we go. So let's go ahead and take a look. We've looked at a number of examples from IE Test Drive, and I'm going to go back there again. Remember that you can go to aka.ms/IE Dev Center. This is a very generic link that links you to all kinds of information for web developers, including documentation, things to test your site, and so on. Or you can go directly to ietestdrive.com, and that is a collection of super awesome demos. That's really what it is. Now, if you go here, you're going to find, besides the rest of the super awesome demos, one on Netflix. And this is a demo by Netflix that allows you to see the ESE in action. This is DRM. This is protected. Of course, they've got it available for everybody there, but that shows off that piece of it. But then the other one that I want to show you, and the one I want to show you a little bit more extensively, is this one that's got a picture of a big chubby bunny there. This is Big Buck Bunny, and this is a video of Big Buck Bunny. This is a short video that was made by Blender, which is a 3D application for doing games and animations and stuff. Pretty popular, free, open source 3D modeler, animator, all of that. And there are a number of videos here. You've got this little short called Elephant's Dream. You've got Big Buck Bunny. I'll just say right now, the last few seconds of Big Buck Bunny is not rated G.
Oh, I did not know that.
It's not bad, but it's kind of funny. I just won't show it on online. Okay, but here we go. Now, I want to take you over to something that should look very familiar to you, because we were just there, Fiddler. I'm going to open Fiddler, and we're going to look at what's actually going over the wire whenever we're watching Big Buck Bunny. Down at the bottom left corner of our screen, we actually have, let me see if I can do this correctly. We actually have this little capturing indicator. Let me see if I can do this even better. Look at that!
Oh, you went red. Okay.
We had this little indication that we're actually capturing live right now, so that's happening. So let's go back to Big Buck Bunny. I'll tap. Now this is a video control. Okay, this is a angle brace, video, source equal. This is just a vanilla video control, but instead of just being a local video file, this is a stream. And the way that it was implemented in this demo, it actually has a variable bitrate control below it. So I'm going to play this, and you'll see that it's pretty good quality. Let me just maximize this, and depending on what encoding quality you're watching this in Virtual Academy, you shouldn't see too much in the way of artifacts. It's pretty good quality. But if I pause that, jump back out, now if I expand the quality all the way up to 6K, and then I play this, should be playing. Play for me, would you? Let's try Elephant Dream. Big Buck Bunny is experiencing technical difficulties at the moment. As is Elephant Dream. Okay, is it going to cooperate? There we go. I'm going to turn up the feed. Unknown error. What happened?
Is that the desktop IE?
This is the, you're right, this is probably having to do with the fact that I'm capturing. Thank you so much.
No worries.
All right. To IE test drive in the desktop. Let's go to Big Buck Bunny. Let's play it. Much better. Let's up the quality, and now look at things like the tree leaves, and in a couple seconds, bam, you'll see that it becomes much higher quality. I hope you can see that on your feed. I'm not exactly sure, but we're now streaming in really high quality, and now if I drag this all the way down, now watch the detail in about 2 or 3 seconds. Bam, it's terrible. It's terrible quality. So the MSE extensions, the media source extensions, are what are responsible for us being able to say at any point in time, this is currently the quality that I want this in. Okay? We're able to change that on the fly. Now, we need to go look at Fiddler to see what's actually going on. Look at this gigantic list of HTTP requests, and they're still coming in. Look at this. Bam, 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 they're coming in. Each of these is essentially like a 3 or 4 second clip of video that's coming down. That's why whenever I change the quality, it takes 3 or 4 seconds for it to actually switch and for us to see that effect in the browser. And so look at these. Some of these are audio. We've got some audio, and some of these are video. So you can see that the audio is something like 60K, and the videos are something like 80 to 90K. Okay? So they're variable in size, and we've currently got this tuned to, I guess we've got this all the way down right now. So the quality is really bad. Now let's go ahead and turn this all the way up. Wait for that to take effect. And there it is.
Shazam.
Looks really good. Yeah, or something else. And now if I switch back, look at that. You can see that Fiddler is now showing that the video packet size has increased dramatically.
Wow.
Notice the audio didn't change much. That makes total sense to us.
That does make sense.
Yeah, but now we've got things like 2.2 megabytes coming down per 3 or 4 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and the fact that this happened on the fly, it just switched to the other feed, is really cool. It's really neat that it's able to work that way. The protocol, the standard rather, by W3C, the MSE standard, is really robust, and it involves the rich URL protocol for requesting exactly the packet that you want. So notice that we've got this URL here that's saying, here's the quality level that I want, here's the video fragment that I want, and then when you request that, you literally just, the result of that request, your response, if you will, is that little 3 or 4 second piece of video that's ready to play in the video tag.
That's
if you have the rights to play it.
Cool.
So, yeah. So that's MPEG-DASH. The possibilities are endless for streaming video, for making sure that the video is only streaming to the right people, and it's great. I just want to jump on this standard and use that entirely, and we'll make sure that we don't play the last 3 seconds of Big Buck Bunny.
Okay.
There we go. And the last thing that we're going to talk about in the UI APIs is pointer events. Now, I sort of already did a bit of a spoiler. I'm going to jump over to, now we've got Fiddler turned off, so that shouldn't have any trouble. I'm going to jump back to this browser surface demo. I already showed you guys this. This is a good example of the pointer events. The pointer events are an aggregation. In fact, let me show you this slide. The pointer events are an aggregation of the various ways in which you can push or touch, click your screen. All right? You might have a mouse. You might have a pen. You might have a finger. In fact, you might have 10 of them.
That's right.
Okay, that's pretty much what we have for pointing to our screen. That's why we call this the pointer events. And they're all aggregated now, and they've all been submitted to the W3C as a standard called pointer events. So it's not just a Microsoft concept. This is a W3C concept. But it is really powerful because it's going to allow us to capture a point. Anytime somebody has said, I'm interested in that icon, or I want my text cursor to click here, or whatever, we're able to capture that, and we're able to determine which device did they use to do this, and what meaning do I want to translate from that. In your app, it might mean one thing for a person to click with their mouse somewhere, and it might mean something completely different for them to touch that spot.
In fact, my comment on that is, I think since touch devices, especially the merging with Windows 8, Windows 8.1, where we can use a mouse and use the touch device, unlike other devices which are just primarily touch if they're just purely slate or like a phone. But when you have the mouse and you also have touch, and now with our Surface Pro 3, you have that awesome pen, I'm finding that it really does matter. Like, I really don't want it to act a certain way if I'm using touch versus, so I love the fact that we have the ability to determine as developers, if they're doing this, they probably want this kind of behavior versus that behavior based on just using, you know, the pen or the mouse or the touch. So this is really good news for us.
Yeah, it makes it feel like the same device is working the way a person would expect when they have a mouse or when they have no mouse, when they have 10 fingers. Let me jump actually into Code Show, and I just did a search for list view. And if you look here, we've got, I'm just going to choose the grouped list view. And I want to show you a couple of cool things here. First of all, do you see more picture, more content, these are tourist locations, tourist destinations on the island of Kauai. Do you see more than can fit in the box?
I see that it looks like there's things that are getting clipped.
Yeah, so that's our visual cue that there's more that fits in that box. Now, do you see a scroll bar?
I do not.
I do not either. Now, it's interesting, Windows has made this decision for us that we shouldn't have a scroll bar rendered there. And the reason why is because it knows that we support touch, and maybe, I don't know what the exact algorithm is, but maybe our last interaction with the application was one of touch. But if I go ahead and grab inside that and start scrolling, do you notice that it rendered what we call the touch scroll bar?
I see that what you call a touch scroll bar.
Yeah, well, and I actually don't know what the official name of that, I don't know what the lawyers call it.
That's actually a good name for it. Why don't we just go with that?
All right, yeah, I'll dub it. That's the touch scroll bar, and it's really for visual feedback only. I don't need to go down and grab it because I've got this new, this way of interacting with this content. I can just grab it, move it around. But it is nice to know how much content is in there, and that touch scroll bar tells me where I'm at in my content, and for instance now, the fact that I'm getting close to the end.
True.
So it's a good visual cue, right?
Nice.
Well, now let me grab my mouse. There's my mouse. Oh,
what?
I just moved my mouse inside this list view element, and it said, I noticed you have a mouse. That's what the move event included the mouse device, and so now let me show you a scroll bar, because somebody with a mouse might want to grab that and use this traditional means of navigating.
Which we would want to do if we had a mouse.
And by the way, these events are really smart. This whole event model is really smart. I want to show you something. I'm going to grab this list view. Okay, here we are back to the touch scroll bar. I'm going to grab this list view and I'm going to start panning, right? Panning. We're getting close to the end. I want you to see what happens when I get to the end of the scrollable area of this list view. Watch what happens.
All right.
Ready? Did you notice?
You're panning.
It passed that pointer event, that scrolling event up. As a matter of fact, it passed it up mid-scroll, excuse me, so that whenever I got to the end of this list, all of a sudden the entire page started panning.
So I guess a question that I might have for you would be, if you were using the list view in the code show example, we obviously saw the evidence of the fact that you had a mouse that rendered the list view differently than when you were using touch. But the real question is, did you explicitly say, I'm using pointer events as by the W3, or what's going on around here?
Great question. Glad you asked. Actually, in this case, with the scroll event that got passed up, I didn't have to do anything. And in most cases, you don't have to do anything, because if you just say, for instance, that you want to capture the pointer event, the pointer moved, or the pointer clicked, or whatever, then it's able to say, all right, pointer, whatever that might be. So if I grabbed a pen right now and I did this, it would work. It would do the same exact functionality. But in that pointer event, and we'll talk about these more, this is a little bit, I mean, this concept works in the web because this is now a W3C concept, but it's also very much a WinJS, a Windows concept. And so we're going to talk about this more in course 2.
I see.
But I can, in the event, I can say, and there's nothing in this demo to show you, but I can say, what was the device that they just used to do that event? And if it was a mouse, then I can determine that, just like the list view renders the scroll bar, I can determine that I want to show certain mousy artifacts. Mousy artifacts. Do you like that? That's one of my terms as well.
I do like that.
All right. So you can go look at that standard. It's pretty cool. And like I said, I am going to show you a code show demo in our next course in the Developing Universal Apps for Windows that shows off how to differentiate between these and then how to do something different for each of those. So there you go. That's MPEG-DASH and pointer events. Those were my portions of this module. What else do you have?
So what I have, I guess we could say two things. And let's take a look at my screen real quick. We have the summary of everything we've done so far. So the canvas, the WebGL, audio, video, what you just talked about with MPEG-DASH and pointer events. But I think since this is a highly, I mean, it was UI. I mean, this was all about UI. I was just thinking that it might be nice to also kind of leave off with a visual representation of what this whole thing was about. So if we can go back to the screen, basically, this was all about really transforming the user experience. And if you wanted to see this yourself, you just go to that MSMVA hashtag, search on Twitter, and you can get this probably destined to become one of the most shared, most viral photos of all time of Jeremy Foster warped by WebGL at our event. So that could be your visual.
I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna retweet that. I'll just tell you right now.
I understand. I understand. Okay, that's gonna wrap it up. I think in 10 more minutes, we're going to dive into
our last module.
The last module of the day.
6 of 6 in 10 minutes.